You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today on our Total Wellness Tuesday, we've got a fun show. So I'm kind of taking a break from some of the more intense topics that I often talk about. And what I want to go over today are the top 15 most prescribed supplements by doctors. And those doctors or licensed practitioners are medical doctors, naturopathic doctors, chiropractors, any type of functional medicine doctor. So the nice thing is this, I already did the research for you. It was painstaking, but worth it. I actually wanted this information for myself. I said, am I using what a lot of other people are using or vice versa? And, I don't ever go by what anyone else is using. I go by two things. One, the science, and two, real world clinical application. Because great, if it works in a lab, fantastic. I'm open to using it. But number two, it has to work in the real world with real people who are in real world conditions. They're not in a sterile laboratory environment, right? So what I did was I just compiled all the data, and it's amazing, but almost, and I can, make fun of like different categories and subsets on another day and joke around. But today what I want to do is I looked over all the lists and I said, what are the top 15 that go across the board that everyone is recommending? Because I said, you know what? If thousands of doctors across the United States are recommending these products, they have to work, right? I mean, they do, because they wouldn't keep using them. Being a naturopath or a natural health practitioner or functional medicine doctor or whatever you want to call yourself, you don't do this to try to get rich, to do anything like that. You're doing it because most likely you went through some tough stuff yourself, right? And you want to try in some way to alleviate the pain and suffering of others. That's at least how I feel. I try to keep this podcast as best as I can in normal, real-world language, how I would talk with my friend if we were out to dinner and they were asking me about health. Like, that's basically it. Because I know when I was sick, back in the day, and I would go to some of these doctors and conventional medicine doctors, and they would use all these big words around me. And I didn't understand what they were saying. Maybe they were just using it to sound smart. Maybe they didn't know how to say it in a real layman's terms. Like, I don't know. But how I look at it is this, is they didn't make me feel good about me or make me feel like I had any chance of getting better, because I just felt like I was nowhere near their level, right? Like, I'd have to go to medical school and do all of these things. So that was my path. I said, you know what? I have to get better. I'm going to go to medical school. I'm going to do all these things. And that was my path. But then I realized, and after meeting some great down-to-earth alternative, and again, I've that in air quotes, medicine practitioners, that wasn't the case. You could be a real person. You could be smarter than the top MDs, the top scientists, the top whoever in the world, or just as smart as, study the same material, but just really be approachable, really be like a normal human that can have a normal human conversation with another person, talk to them about their life. Right? Talk to them about what's going on, because it's not just about drugs and it's not just about supplements. It's about the entire person's wellness and well-being, right? That's a huge part of what we're missing right now in medicine, is that we have to treat the person, not their disease, not their symptoms, but them, where they're at. I was just met with this amazing woman today. She's only 35, 36, right around there. And I know that she's going to get better. I know that she is. A lot of the people I work with are actually health practitioners. She happened to be a health practitioner as well, just because of how we can, again, have those conversations back and forth. But what I realized was this, is that after she told me her whole story, which took about a half hour or so, I went back and I was waiting to ask this. And I said, so what happened? And if you're listening, you can relate to the story. She might be listening. What happened in 2011? What happened in 2012? Something happened. It had to. These events, this massive triggering of fatigue, central nervous system issues, digestive issues, migraines, lack of sleep, insomnia. What was the major stressor? I said, you never have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. Was there a major life stress in 2011, 2012? Was there? And, basically see that she started to tear up. She started to get emotional. I knew there was something there. I didn't push her. She wanted to talk about it. She could. But you have to understand, I looked at the person, right? I've been there myself. I knew there was a triggering event. So she can tell me the symptoms, but I need to know what caused that event in 2011, 2012, which now has triggered these symptoms since then to 2017, not getting better, seeing the best specialist, seeing the best functional medicine doctor, seeing the best naturopath, seeing the best whoever. How am I going to help her get better? I need to look deeper. And what I found was this triggering event. And so I asked her, how are things now? I talked to her as a human being. How are things now? How are those relationships? How is work? How has things changed? Are they better? Or do we need to work on that as well? She said things are better. I said, great. Now the healing can take place. You have to understand the power of that. And that's not what this show is to turn into, but I don't have a script ever for these shows. I don't. And what I have to tell you is that sometimes these things come out. And so as I talk about this, I get emotional myself because I understand that when people go into these sterile doctor's offices and they talk to these practitioners, and I was kind of there in the beginning myself, you lose that human element. Right? And so when you lose that element of connecting with another person, sometimes you can never get better, right? And those are the only people who can't get better, is that they can't let go of whatever this anger is. And again, I know there's anger and I know there's frustration when you can't get better. I know that because I've been there myself, and it took me longer than I care to share to get over that. And that's why it took me a while. I could have get better faster if I knew a better protocol, of course, but also if I allowed myself to heal both psychologically and physiologically, mentally and physically. So although that show wasn't meant to be about this, and I am going to get back on topic right now, I want you to know that no matter who you work with, right? Whoever you work with, just make sure they're looking at the person, that they're looking at you. You deserve to be heard, and that's more important really than anything else. No supplement, no whatever, right? It's all about you and really your journey as well. That's very, very important. Okay, so now switching gears, we're going to go on to the top 15 most prescribed supplements, nutritional supplements, functional medicine supplements across the board by all types of health practitioners who use this program. So again, when I work with someone over Skype, when I work with someone in Egypt and Pakistan, I've worked with people in Israel, and I've worked with people in the UK, in British Columbia, I've worked with people in Iceland, you name it, Argentina, I've worked it. So, and you can do all of this through the magic of the internet, right? So that's how I get to work with these people. What we do is we then send over what's called an online supplement prescription, and it shows all the supplements that I recommend, of course, with your whole protocol, because it's never just about supplements, as I just spoke about. That's only one part of the protocol. And again, I'm going to share my protocol with the world in just a couple months of my new book. But I figured let's start with these supplements that people are recommending across the board. So let's get right into it. The top 15 I'm going to name right away. So these are not going to be a mystery. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about each one and then go from there. So just keep in mind, as I mentioned these things, these are not the ones that you can buy at Target, CVS, Walmart, Costco, or your favorite whatever store. They're not. These are functional medicine companies like my brand Equilibrium Nutrition, like Orthomolecular Medicine, like Thorne, like Pure Encapsulations, like Integrative Therapeutics, right? These are great, reputable brands that do third-party testing. All of my nutritional supplements are third-party tested. That means I'm going to give it to someone who doesn't care about me, doesn't care about my feelings, doesn't care if they tell me, hey, your products came back with mold, your products came back with heavy metals. I want to know that because I'm putting these same supplements in my body, in my kids' bodies, in my wife's body, in my family's body, and everyone in my practice. Believe me, I want to know those things. And a functional medicine company will third-party test. Your stuff at Costco, your stuff at these places, do not buy your supplements at the same place you buy toilet paper. I cannot stress that enough. Okay, let's move on. So, the supplements, the top 15 in no particular order, digestive enzymes across the board, right? They help you digest food better, cut down on bloating. Magnesium, that's obviously a favorite. That works just phenomenally well. Vitamin D3, probiotics, activated B complex, glutamine, adrenal adaptogens, a prenatal vitamin, N-acetylcysteine. Why NAC? It's a precursor to glutathione, helps with detoxification. An activated multivitamin, curcumin, which is another word for turmeric or curcuminoids. An all-in-one shake, the same all-in-one basically that we have. There are functional medicine companies that make this. If you don't want to use our daily nutritional support shake, just go to dailysupportshake.com. You can see what it is. Find a functional medicine brand that makes one. It's the most important thing that you could do, or that activated multivitamin. We'll link these up on the show notes today. And omega-3, that's the next one. Vitamin K, I was surprised to see that. Really shocked to see that one. So that's pretty nice to see that on there, because a lot of people are understanding that if you're going to give calcium, if you're going to give vitamin D, you better make sure there's vitamin K in there as well. But remember, when you take our activated multi or our all-in-one, the vitamin K is already in there, so you can just take vitamin D on its own, which saves you money, because we're all about saving people money. Remember, every day you can get the same protocol I use every single morning for less than $5 per day. Literally, you spend $5 on a coffee or a coffee and a muffin or whatever it might be. It's $5. You can get 22 organic fruits and vegetables. You can get all of your vitamins for the day, all of your minerals, all of your antioxidants. What else do you get? You get your liver support. You get your detox in there. You get 15 grams of a meal replacement, and you get 50 billion strains of probiotics for $5. That's like the dollar menu, right? It's unbelievable, except this is really good stuff. But I don't want you ever to say, I have to use Dr. Cabral's brand. You don't. That's why I'm saying right now, there are great companies, and I'm going to name them right now just so that you know I don't want this to be a self-promotion. You can use Thorne Research. You can use orthomolecular medicine. You can use integrative therapeutics. You can use pure encapsulation. Again, there are others. I'm just not naming them right now. Those are the top ones that come to mind because they're great brands. They just are. The bottom line is they're really great. So that's the thing. I want to read these back over quick, but also, I want to make this obviously a little bit more user-friendly for you, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down these top 15, just in case you're driving your car, you can't write them down, and you just want them. You want them for your own reference. I know probably like a quarter of the people listening to this podcast are other health practitioners, other doctors, MDs who are getting into more functional medicine, other naturopaths. I work with a lot of students from Bastyr and a lot of naturopathic colleges, and I help mentor them as well, what they're not getting in school. Again, amazing school. Bastyr has to be probably the best naturopathic school, right, in the U.S. So nothing against that, not saying that at all, but you don't learn everything from 300 textbooks. I don't know how to stress that enough. That's the beginning of your education. That's it. That's all it is. It's the beginning. It's the start. The problem is most doctors don't read more than a book a year once they get out of school. It's a shame, but I know we're all busy, right? We just have to make time for our patients. That's really important. So one more time, digestive enzymes, magnesium, vitamin D3, probiotics, activated B complex, the methylated kind, not your B complex again at Costco, glutamine, adrenal adaptogens. That means things like ashwagandha, rhodiola, maca, those types of things. Prenatal vitamin. And again, a prenatal vitamin is pretty much a regular vitamin with additional folic acid, and hopefully you're not taking folic acid. Hopefully you've heard my shows. Don't do that. Don't take folic acid. Look at the multi that we have on the website. You'll check it out. Again, it's by Ortho, and that has the 800 micrograms of natural folate, right? So just really, really important. N-acetylcysteine, activated multivitamin. It means a multivitamin that isn't just like made from chalk, literally chalk dust, or rock dust in terms of a lot of them with calcium carbonate. That would be terrible. You're getting the activated B vitamins. You're getting all that good stuff in there. All right, curcumin, an all-in-one shake, which an all-in-one shake is basically a multivitamin plus protein. So you get an all-in-one, and then ours has the minerals and other good stuff. And omega-3, vitamin K, and coenzyme Q10. So really amazing products. I'm going to put them in the show notes. Today, all you have to do is go to StephenCabral.com/353 for the direct link, or go to StephenCabral.com/podcast, and you'll always see all the back episodes there. Hopefully this was kind of enlightening. I found it really interesting myself. I am a research guy. I research pretty much every single day, trying to bring you all these interesting things, and also for myself as well. So hopefully you found it as interesting as I did. And as always, this is one of those shows that you might want to pass on to someone else who might be kind of getting into the functional medicine realm or trying to heal themselves. This is part of the learning process. What are doctors supplementing with? What are they using? They're doing these things for a reason. Take care, everyone. Really appreciate all the listens. Thank you again. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.